Dracula's powers come from consuming human life.
Last of our kind. No.
The film opens in the early 20th century, where the Transylvanian vampire Count Dracula meets the English lawyer R.M. Renfield. Renfield travels to make a real estate deal with a man, hoping to earn a large commission from it. When he finally meets the man, it turns out to be none other than the infamous Dracula. The two quickly form a strange friendship, spending a lot of time together and getting to know one another until Van Helsing eventually manages to take Dracula down. However, Dracula later resurrects himself. After Renfield proves to be a loyal and helpful assistant, Dracula rewards him by turning him into his familiar, granting him immortality and enhanced abilities like super strength and speed whenever he consumes insects. Dracula even shares a small part of his supernatural power with Renfield, changing his life completely. From that day forward, Renfield becomes Dracula's devoted servant, bound to obey his every command. One day, a group of modern vampire hunters arrives, determined to destroy Dracula once and for all. They trap him within a magic circle and try to convince Renfield to abandon his master, reminding him that he still has a chance to live like a normal man. But Dracula uses their distraction to his advantage, breaks free from the circle, and swiftly kills both the exorcist and the hunters.
We are the last of our kind. Renfield.
Another hunter suddenly appears and exposes Dracula to direct sunlight, causing his body to burn and blister. Desperate to save his master, Renfield takes the weakened Dracula away and relocates to New Orleans. 90 years pass, and Renfield grows tired and emotionally drained from constantly delivering victims to Dracula and enduring his endless cruelty. In New Orleans, he discovers a self-help support group for people trapped in toxic and codependent relationships. Renfield attends their meetings and decides to target the abusive partners mentioned by the members, believing that feeding Dracula these kinds of people will ease his guilt. During one session, he hears about a woman's boyfriend named Mitch, who mistreats and abuses her. Renfield decides that Mitch will be his next target for Dracula. He follows Mitch to a warehouse where Mitch meets with his gang, just as Renfield captures him.
That's not a problem. We'll just give it all back to you.
An assassin hired by the rival Lobo crime family storms in and murders Mitch and his men. The assassin then turns his weapon on Renfield, but Renfield effortlessly kills him using his enhanced powers. He later finds out that the assassin was working for Teddy Lobo, a notorious crime lord, and that Mitch had stolen drugs from him. When Teddy realizes his assassin has been killed, he panics and flees. Meanwhile, Renfield brings the assassin's corpse to Dracula as food. But when Dracula tastes the blood, he immediately spits it out in disgust. Furious, he scolds Renfield for bringing him filthy blood, saying he requires pure, innocent victims instead. Dracula warns Renfield that if he doesn't start delivering good people immediately, he'll be destroyed. To terrify him, Dracula slashes Renfield's lip and then heals it with a drop of his own blood. Terrified and obedient, Renfield sets out to find his next victim, someone pure and untainted. Meanwhile, Teddy Lobo runs into a police sobriety checkpoint led by Rebecca Quincy, a determined second-generation police officer. Teddy, panicking, throws bricks of cocaine at her and is quickly arrested. Later, at the police station, corrupt officers release Teddy from custody. Rebecca angrily clashes with her sister Kate, an FBI agent, over the corruption spreading through the system. We learn that their father was killed in a police shootout, and the two sisters have joined forces determined to end the crime in their city. They don't really see eye to eye, though they have different methods and approaches, which is why they often clash. Meanwhile, Teddy's mother, Bella Francesca, gives her son a harsh lecture. She calls him a disappointment, reminding him that their family is the most powerful crime family in the city and that he can't even handle small problems. She admits she's worried about the family's future because she doesn't believe Teddy is fit to take over the business. Elsewhere, Renfield sits in a cafe scouting for an innocent person he can hunt to present to Dracula. Rebecca is there too. She's been following leads in Mitch's case, and the clues brought her to the same cafe. Spotting police nearby, Renfield decides to delay his plan. That's when Teddy arrives with his men.
Who the fuck are these guys?
Move and I'll blow your fucking head off!
Teddy confronts Rebecca, taunting her for wanting to be like her father, and suggesting she'll die a heroic death like him. He cruelly claims his family murdered her father, saying the old man begged for mercy, and tells Rebecca they'll do the same to her, then aims his gun at her. Rebecca refuses to flinch and dares him to pull the trigger. Before Teddy can shoot, Renfield steps in and saves Rebecca. A fight erupts. Renfield swiftly takes down Teddy's men and only stops when Teddy manages to escape. Afterward, Rebecca and the cafe patrons thank Renfield for what he did, and their gratitude makes him feel unexpectedly good. Renfield returns to Dracula, who's recovered somewhat. Dracula tells Renfield he plans to eliminate the good from the world and seize power. Those who try to do good will be nothing but food for him, and only his followers will remain. Renfield recoils. He still clings to his remaining humanity and refuses to let goodness be wiped out without a fight. He goes back to his support group and confesses that his boss wants to rule the world. The others tell him his boss sounds insane and urge him to ignore Dracula. One man advises Renfield to focus on himself. If he withdraws his attention, the boss will weaken and Renfield will grow stronger. Taking their advice, Renfield stops visiting Dracula. He buys and decorates a nice house, improves his appearance, and begins caring more about his own life. He visits Rebecca, whose company he's begun to enjoy, and tells her she's brave, that he's willing to help whenever she needs it, and that good people like her are beacons of hope. Teddy's mother watches the cafe's CCTV of the fight, scolds Teddy again for embarrassing the family, spots Renfield in the footage, and orders her son to see that this man is killed immediately. She sends Teddy to track down Renfield. Teddy manages to follow his trail and ends up at the lair where Dracula is the only one present. Dracula quickly slaughters all of Teddy's men and grabs Teddy by the collar. Terrified, but trying to stay calm, Teddy tells Dracula that they both seem to share a love for wickedness. He then mentions Renfield, explaining that Renfield has started helping innocent people and doing good deeds, something completely against Dracula's ways. Intrigued, Dracula listens closely, and soon the two decide to form an alliance. While this is happening, Renfield has fully embraced the lessons from his self-help group. Renfield firmly tells him that he's done being a servant, that he's ready to live a better, normal life. He accuses Dracula of deceiving him with promises of power, turning him into a slave in exchange for immortality. Dracula laughs and says Renfield has it all wrong. He reminds Renfield that he was never pure. He was always greedy in power, hungry, driven by ambition, even leaving his wife in pursuit of success. Dracula warns him that his betrayal won't go unpunished. He vows to destroy everything Renfield cares about, making him watch his loved ones suffer before killing them all. Knowing Renfield cares deeply for his support group, Dracula sets out to target them next.
You realize that I can identify.
Realizing this, Renfield rushes to their meeting spot and begs them to leave immediately. But he's too late. Dracula is already there. With overwhelming strength, Dracula massacres everyone in the group.
You can leave your top hat.
Feeling much better.
Would you like to introduce yourself to the group?
The Lord of Death. And simply as... Why?
Renfield is devastated as he watches innocent, kind people die because of him. Dracula mocks him, saying this is just the beginning, before disappearing. Moments later, Rebecca arrives at the gruesome scene, unaware of what really happened. Seeing Renfield surrounded by bodies, she assumes he's responsible and arrests him. Unfortunately, Rebecca's police partner is corrupt, secretly working for the Lobo family. He immediately contacts Teddy and Bella Francesca, informing them that the man they've been hunting is now in custody. They rush to the station and are told they can take Renfield to do whatever they wish. Rebecca, however, refuses to hand Renfield over. Despite pressure from her superiors, who even offer her a promotion and money, she stands her ground. Knowing Teddy and his mother are dangerous, she helps Renfield escape. Defying the department's orders. Soon, both Rebecca and Renfield are labeled fugitives, with police ordered to shoot them on sight. The next morning, Rebecca wakes up in Renfield's apartment. Renfield decides it's time to tell her the truth about Dracula, his past, and what really happened. She struggles to believe him, but before she can respond, Rebecca receives a call from her sister Kate, who reveals that a pen found at the crime scene contains Renfield's DNA. She warns Rebecca that this man has been active for decades and is, in fact, immortal. Meanwhile, Dracula meets with Teddy and Bella Francesca. Realizing they share the same enemies, they form a partnership. Bella sends her men to hunt down and eliminate both Renfield and Rebecca. As they close in, Renfield eats a handful of bugs and instantly activates his supernatural powers, ready to fight back. Renfield tells Rebecca that he once deeply loved his family, but they drifted away because of his own mistakes that continue to haunt him with guilt every single day. He admits that he can't blame Dracula for everything, as he himself played a part in many of the terrible choices that led him here. Just then, Rebecca gets a call from Bella, who coldly informs her that Kate has been kidnapped. Bella warns that if Rebecca wants to see her sister alive, she must come to her and bring Renfield along. Without hesitation, they head to Bella's location. Upon arriving, Bella seizes Rebecca and drags her to Dracula, while Teddy confronts Renfield.
When you had I'm gonna tear off first. You patronizing piece of shit.
Teddy, now granted supernatural powers by Dracula, faces off with Renfield. At first, Renfield dominates the fight, overpowering him easily, but as the battle goes on, he starts to weaken, giving Teddy the upper hand. Meanwhile, Dracula shows Rebecca the nearly unconscious Kate and tempts her with a sinister offer to become his servant. He promises her power beyond imagination, enough to avenge her father's death if she accepts. As this unfolds, Renfield quickly consumes a handful of bugs, restoring his strength and abilities. He turns the tide of the fight, defeating Teddy for good before rushing to rescue Rebecca. Rebecca, however, decides to play it smart. Pretending to accept Dracula's offer, she lures him closer, then suddenly pulls back the curtains, flooding the room with sunlight. Dracula screams in agony and retreats into the shadows, escaping into a dark chamber where he captures Renfield and kills him. But before Dracula can celebrate, Rebecca fires her gun, hitting his foot. His spilled blood seeps onto Renfield's body, and miraculously, Renfield comes back to life. Reinvigorated, Renfield and Rebecca work together to trap Dracula inside a magical circle.
I am the dark poetry.
I can take it back. I am Renfield! And
once he's confined, they unleash their fury, beating him down relentlessly until he's torn apart. They collect his healing blood and seal his remains inside chunks of concrete, scattering them throughout the city's water system, ensuring that Dracula will either be destroyed for good or never able to reform again. After the battle, Renfield uses Dracula's blood to heal Kate. Together with Rebecca, Kate arrests Bella, finally bringing justice to the Lobo family. Renfield then uses the remaining power to resurrect his fallen self-help group friends, giving them a second chance at life. With Dracula gone and his past finally behind him, Renfield feels stronger, freer, and ready to start anew. And with that, the movie comes to an end.